Hey everyone, how's it going? Azren here, hope you are doing well. I want to make a short video today talking about what you should be studying first when you're learning a new language. Should it be reading? Should it be writing? Should it be speaking? Or should it be listening? Now, the reality in my perspective is that there's a variety of ways you can answer this question. However, what I want to focus on are two major strategies that I have seen work for a pretty big percentage of people. The first strategy is to, in the early days, to focus mostly on the listening side of things and on the reading side of things. So, for example, maybe in the early days, all you're doing is you're listening to YouTube videos, listening to audios, reading textbooks, reading simple books, reading maybe some educational blog posts, reading, etc., etc. Lots of listening, lots of reading. One of the things I love about the strategy and that I think why it works for so many people is that it's a fantastic way to do some self-teaching. You don't need to have a teacher who has a specific schedule, and you don't need to fit that teacher's schedule into yours. You don't need to worry about when you're studying, in other words, right? You can study at nighttime, daytime, afternoon, whatever the heck you want. It's on your own time. I think as well with this strategy, it is a heck of a lot less pressure. You don't need to worry about somebody else judging you if you make a mistake. You don't need to worry about embarrassing yourself. You don't need to worry about sounding dumb because it's just you, right? You're just you in your room, you in your office, just studying on your own time. A couple things to be mindful of if you're going to do this. Please remember to do writing practice as well. That is important. So after you've done a lot of listening and reading, remember to actually get out that pen, get out that laptop, get out your iPad, whatever it is, and do some writing practice. Maybe write about your day, start a journal, something like that. I think that's a healthy practice to get into. And most importantly, at some point or another, you are going to have to incorporate other people into your language learning studies. Because if we look at the essence of language learning, or the purpose of learning a language, it's to communicate with other people. And so you can't just lock yourself in your room forever. You can do it for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, however long you want, but at some point you will have to incorporate other people. Now, to be honest, that strategy does not work very well for me. Not at all. It's just for me, I actually would get bored if I did that. I would be way too bored. I need to communicate with other people and I need to have that interaction. And so if you're someone who's like me, maybe a strategy that might work a little bit better is to do lots of focus on speaking and on listening up front, and not so much focus on the reading and on the writing. I probably personally do a 70% focus on the listening and the speaking, and 30% focus on the reading and writing in the early phases. This works well for me because, like I said, I like to interact with other people. That's fun for me. Second of all, I am someone who learns kind of by speaking and listening. That fits really well with my learning style. But also, which is a really important point, is that if you think about what you're learning in the early stages of any language, often there are things that you're going to need in everyday conversations. You're going to learn how to say hello. You're going to learn how to say goodbye, please, thank you. You're going to need to learn how to talk about yourself, right? Like your education, your work, your likes, your dislikes, your family, all these different things that really come up quite frequently in conversations. And so I think there's a certain level of logic of saying that, okay, since the things that I'm learning up front are going to be things that I'll need quite a bit in spoken conversations and I'll need to be able to understand, why not put more of a focus on that, up front when you're learning those kinds of things. I think for myself that works, that tends to work really well for me personally, and I've seen it work well for other people as well, okay? Now, one thing to be very mindful of if you're going to follow this type of methodology, this type of strategy, is that at some point, you probably will need to switch your focus onto doing quite a bit of reading specifically, and I'd also say some writing, but more reading, because at some point or another, you're going to get quite good at navigating day-to-day conversations. Things like, hey, how are you? What are you up to? Oh, I'm doing this today, blah, blah, blah. Here's my plans this weekend. Here's what I'm doing tomorrow. Here's what I like. Here's my family. You're gonna get good at talking about these simple topics. You'll get good at it, right? And so one way to kind of expand that vocabulary and to really expand the number of things you can talk about and the depth at which you can talk about them is to start reading different things, whether it's books, textbooks, whether it's whether it's comic books, whether it's blog posts, whether it's whatever it is. Song lyrics is actually a very interesting hack you could follow, song lyrics, read those. At some point, you probably will need to focus a certain amount of time on reading as well, because that's what's going to let you get to the next level. But again, that's another fantastic strategy. So those are two major strategies. There's a lot more than that. There's a ton more different aspects we can get into, but I don't want to make this a 2-hour video or anything like that. So we're going to cut it there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will talk later. Bye for now.